Hello students. Yesterday we have learned about streamline flow and laminar flow. So today let's study about what is turbulent flow, what is critical velocity. That terms arises in every types of flow of liquid. So let's see what is the turbulent flow. Actually, turbulent flow arises when the velocity of liquid is greater than its critical velocity. At this velocity, actually, liquid the motion of the liquid is being absorbed means the motion is disturbed now at a single point. If you will find the velocity of different particles, then that will be different. Even they will change their direction continuously. So due to their change in direction, there is no forward flow of water and direction. There is a absorbed motion with time observed. So if such types of any motion in liquid is observed, then it means that the velocity of the particle is changing continuously with time. Then such types of flow is known as turbulent flow. And the condition is that when the velocity becomes greater than the critical velocity. So normally disturbance or turbulence can be caused by any actually disturbance like in air. Passing of cars, aeroplane or boats can easily create a turbulence, and due to that the velocity of air can exceed to the critical velocity, and again their flow will be disturbed. So such types to remove such types of disturbances, the shape of car, boats or aeroplanes are is made up of in such a manner that there will be minimum turbulence and they will create minimum turbulence. So that's why the velocity of air should not be greater than the critical velocity, because if that will be the condition, then definitely to maintain that turbulence we must have to add some extra energy to our cars or boat or aeroplane. So that's why if we will need extra energy, then definitely we will need extra fuel, and that will be wasteful for us and expensive for us also. So that's why we make shape in such a manner that there will be less turbulence. In such factors, it is also useful like to for the milkshake or to mix anything like in mixture. We always disturb or trouble any steady body than or liquid. So due to the turbulence in the liquid, easily we can shake, we can mix anything in that liquid. So that is the concept of the turbulence. If simply in a simple way, if you any pillar or any disturbance, any resistance is kept in the path of the fluid, then fluid get disturbed due to that, and in that condition the direction of fluid will change, and due to change in direction their motion will be absorbed or turbulent. So clear, if any disturbance is created by any obstacle which is in the path of the fluid, then definitely there will be some disturbance, and that will be flow will be the turbulent flow. Clear. Also I have told you so many examples. They are also the obstacle in the path of air or liquid, so that they even create turbulence in the air or fluid or liquid or other things. Okay, so this is simply turbulent flow. In a streamline flow, at every point at a single point actually, or in a single line, page or plane, all particles will have same velocity at a single point. Like if there are 4 points, then at this point every particle will follow its preceding particles in velocity and energy. Simple. In laminar flow, you know that it is also a streamline flow. Only there will be flow of fluid in forms of layers, and no two simple streamline can cut each other. But in turbulent flow, the direction of velocity direction of particles is changing continuously with time, and due to change in velocity they can cut each other, and definitely they will disturb each other, and there will be the production of ED in the fluid. So due to that production of EDs, most of the energy is dissipated there, and only few of the energy can flow forward in forward direction. So that's why where ed is produced due to any obstacle, then at that point most of the energy is dissipated in form of the heat, or in other forms it can also dissipate. So due to energy dissipation, forward flow of energy is disturbed there, and simple streamline flow uh, is not possible in that case. So this is the case of turbulent flow. So I think flow of liquid is now clear to you. So one quantity I mentioned every time, that is critical velocity. So what is the critical velocity? Let's see that, because every flow depends on that. If velocity of fluid will be less than the critical velocity, then flow will be streamlined, and if it exceed to critical velocity, then flow becomes turbulent. So let's see what is the critical velocity. So now let's see what is the critical velocity. Actually, the definition of critical velocity is also connected to the flow of fluids. When simple, it is that velocity below which the flow of liquid or fluid will be streamlined, and above which flow of fluid will be turbulent. Simple. Then this velocity is known as critical velocity. It is a limitation between, or simple you can say that it's a point of differentiation between streamlined flow and turbulent flow. So this critical velocity depends upon three factors: viscosity of liquid or fluid, simple, density of the stains, and density of the fluid taken, and R, simple, is that radius of the tube in which fluid is flowing. Okay. So upon these three factors critical velocity depends on. So let's see what will be the formula for critical velocity, and we can easily derive that by using dimensional analysis. So suppose that critical velocity is denoted by Vc. So definitely this will depends on eta. Suppose that power A, rho power B, and R power C. It depends on these three factors. Now we can write easily what will be the dimensional formula for them. So simply you know that dimensional formula for velocity, that is Lt minus 1, will be equal to dimensional formula for coefficient of viscosity, that will be ml minus 1 T minus 1 power A. Dimensional formula for density, that will be Lt minus 3, sorry, ml minus 3, sorry for that. And the dimensional formula for R will be simple, power C. Clear? So this is the dimensional formula. Now we can solve it easily. That will be m power A plus B, L power minus A minus 3B plus C, and T power minus A. Here we have Lt minus 1. So we can easily equate the power of here, and with that, and we will get simple A plus B equal to 0, minus A minus 3B plus C equal to 1, and minus A equal to minus 1. When simple, the value of A will be 1, value of B will be minus 1, and C will be also minus 1. We can easily calculate it from here. So we will get the value of ABC. Now we have to put this value in this equation, and we will get BC equal is directly proportional to eta rho power minus 1 R power minus 1. So after removing the proportionality sign, we will get a constant K here. So we can write K eta upon rho R. So this is the formula for critical velocity, which depends on these three factors: coefficient of viscosity, density of the fluid, and R is tube of the radius of the tube. Simple. Then we can easily find what is the velocity of critical velocity for any types of tube or for any types of fluid. So if we know the density and viscosity of that fluid, then we can easily calculate with the help of this equation what will be the critical velocity. And if velocity of that fluid is greater than the critical velocity, then definitely the flow of fluid will be turbulent. and if it is less than the critical velocity, then flow of fluid will be streamlined. So if we want to make the flow of fluid to steady or is in a streamline, then we must have to use such a method so that we can reduce the velocity of fluid below the critical velocity. So this velocity helps us to reduce turbulence in fluid, and also to increase the streamline flow or maximum flow of energy in the fluid. So using this, we can easily construct our obstacles which can simply disturb the flow of fluids, like for aeroplanes and cars and other bodies. They are disturbing the air medium, means simple air. Then definitely due to this disturbance, there will be turbulence in air produced, and if that due to that turbulence velocity of air exceeds its critical velocity, then definitely there will be turbulence, and the flow of air will be turbulent flow, and in that condition there will be the production of ED waves, and due to that ED waves, our car or our aeroplane can stuck in that, and we must use extra fuel to overcome it. So that's why the shape of aeroplanes or cars are designed in such a way that it can create minimum turbulence, and that's why so that the velocity of air or other medium cannot exceed to its critical velocity. Means flow of that medium should be in streamline for the proper flow of any objects, so that we need only to give its energy to for the kinetic energy, not for the reduction of such types of eddy and turbulence. Okay, so this helps us to determine that factor, and it's a very important factor in the flow of fluids. So now I think this is clear to you, and how can we derive, how can we calculate it. Now let's see what is Reynolds number. Let's see that. So Reynolds number is a pure number which determines the nature of the flow of fluid through any pipe. So simple, it's a pure number, nothing, no units assigned to it, and also it determines the nature of flow. Means flow, when simple flow of fluid will be streamlined, and when flow of fluid will be simply turbulent, and when it is between two flow streamline and turbulent. So from the Reynolds number we can easily know it. It is also calculated by the concept of critical velocity. As you have seen already, the formula for critical velocity, which is Vc equal to something k eta upon rho into r. So we can also change it in the form of diameter, and we will get in place of k a new number or new constant, which is nr, and this nr is known as Reynolds number in this case. So the value of Reynolds number will be eta d upon Vc into Vc upon simple eta, rho d Vc upon eta. Where rho is the density of the fluid, d is diameter of the tube, and Vc is critical velocity, eta is the coefficient of viscosity of the fluid. So simply Reynolds number can be calculated by knowing these factors, and if Reynolds number is between from 0 to 2000, means if the Reynolds number is between 0 to 2000, then flow of fluid will be streamlined or laminar. Simple. Both can flow or streamline flow. You know that simple in laminar flow there is only the concept of layers, but for simple, for streamline or laminar flow, nr will be 0 to 2000 is number, and from 2000 to 3000 streamline flow is started to convert into the turbulent flow. It means some of its energy can flow in forward direction, but some of its energy is dissipated in the producing the eddies in the fluid. So means there is some turbulence and there is some streamline flow, both are contained in the fluid. So that this is the case when the Reynolds number is between 2000, varies from 2000 to 3000. Above 3000, streamline flow becomes completely unstable, means it completely becomes turbulent now. So for the turbulent flow, nr is greater than 3000. So simply by this number, by knowing this number, we can easily tell that uh, the flow of fluid will be turbulent or streamline or mixed, turbulent and streamline. So we can easily tell that. So I think now it's clear to you. And what is the importance of Reynolds number? Reynolds number easily tells the nature of the flow of fluid, and if we know nature of the flow of fluid, then definitely it helps us in our industries. It helps us to make so many instruments and many automobiles. So there are a lot of application in industries actually by knowing this number. So I've already told you what is the example of turbulent flow and how can we remove that. So all these problems, Reynolds number helps us. So now let's see what is the equation of continuity. Firstly, just before starting, I want to tell you equation of continuity holds for streamline flow, steady flow. Simple, and I want to just define it here. Suppose that there is a tube and this is a cross section of the tube in which area of cross section is not equal. Then equation of continuity tells us that simply the mass of liquid entering at this point will be equal to the mass of liquid leaving this point. Means there will be no change in mass when it enters at point and leaves that point. Means mass will be conserved in this case here. So this is conservation of mass simply for the case of fluid when the flow of fluid is streamlined. Simple. So equation of continuity is the conservation of mass. It tells us that mass of liquid flowing entering at this point per second will be equal to mass of liquid leaving this surface or this point, this cross section per second. Simple. So and this is the only simply concept of equation of continuity, and that will holds only for streamline flow, steady flow. It flow will be the turbulent. This continuity equation will not hold because some of the energy will used in the in the EDs or other things. So if suppose that there is no loss of fluid inside the tube, means if there is no loss of energy, loss of any amount of fluid inside the tube, then tube should be total elastic and other with other property. So it means that if there is no hole or other means there must not be loss of liquid inside this tube means. So after that's nothing, if flow is steady, then definitely mass will be conserved. Means mass entering this point will be mass leaving at this point. So let's see with the equation what will be the mass entering and mass leaving. Simple. We suppose that there is a cross section of the tube A and B. There are two area, and at A let the cross sectional area is A1 and density of fluid entering here is ρ1, and also at point P let the cross section is A2, cross sectional area is A2 and density here is ρ2. And suppose that if liquid is entering with velocity v1 at point A and leaving the point B with velocity v2. So what will be the volume of liquid entering at A per second? So simple, you can also write it A into A1 into V1, because I have already told you volume of liquid entering at A per second. So for per second you can assign here V1. So simply this will be A1 into V1. And similarly, if we want to know what will be the volume of liquid leaving at point B, that will be A2 into V2. So now as we know what is the volume of liquid entering air and the density of fluid, then we can easily calculate what will be the mass of liquid entering at A per second. That will be ρ1 into A1 V1. Simple. ρ1 into A1 into V1. This will be the mass of liquid entering at A per second. Similarly, we can also calculate mass of liquid leaving B, leaving at B per second. That will be simple ρ2 A2 into V2. So simple, clear. So with the, as I told you, equation of continuity tells us that simply if a flow is streamlined, steady, then mass entering at that point per second will be equal to mass leaving from this point per second. So simple, with the help of this we can write rho 1 A1 B1 equal to rho 2 A2 B2. Clear? Suppose that if density is constant, then in that case AB will be constant. I think there is no confusion in this, or simple we can also write rho AB will be constant. So simply in this equation of continuity, mass will be conserved for the steady flow. It tells us that thing, conservation of mass. Okay, so I think this is now clear to you. So as we have suppose that we have incompressible liquid, means their densities are same at both point, then for that AB will be constant, and this is also known as the form of equation of continuity. Means simple that if area of tube is larger, then velocity of fluid will be smaller, or if area of tube is smaller, then velocity will be greater. It means that in a smaller size tube or a smaller size pipe, liquid will flow more faster than the tube or pipe with larger area. So the equation, with the equation of continuity, we can also explain this term. If we want the higher flow of water and speed of water, then we must make the pipe or the tube with a smaller area. So with the help of continuity, you can easily calculate it or easily tell it. But simply the flow must be steady or streamlined. The condition is that if the flow is not steady or streamlined, this continuity equation will not hold for that case. Okay. So now let's see what is the energy of a liquid. Means how many types of energy a liquid can possess. Basically, a liquid can possess three types of energy in motion, which is pressure energy, potential energy, and kinetic energy. So pressure energy arises due to the pressure of liquid, and as you know that it will be at any depth or height, then definitely there will be some hydrostatic pressure acting on it. So due to that pressure, there will be some work while displacing the liquid to any vessel or tank without imparting any velocity to it. We are not imparting any velocity to it, but due to the pressure, due to that hydrostatic pressure, there will be some displacement in the liquid, and when we will connect it to any vessel or tank. So this that energy is known as pressure energy. Then energy carried by that liquid. Okay. Second is, as you know that potential energy terms arises due to any position above the surface or any reference level to the sea level. So simple, potential energy arises due to position of any fluid, or at any for the any position it will arise. Kinetic energy, as you know that it arises due to the velocity, due to the motion of the fluid. Okay. So these three types of energy is obtained in case of fluid. This is obtained due to pressure, this is obtained due to position, due to the motion. So let's see them one by one. What will be the pressure, and how can we calculate pressure energy, how can we calculate potential energy or kinetic energy in this term. So let's see first what will be the pressure energy. So let's see what will be the pressure energy. As I told you, it will arise due to the pressure of the fluid. Suppose that if you want to calculate that pressure, then there is a tank associated with this vessel, and we attached a piston here. So what will be the pressure applied to that piston due to this pressure. Okay. So let's see that. Simply, as you know that if this height is s, then hydrostatic pressure will be h rho into g, if rho is the density of the fluid. Clear? In this I think there is no problem. This is the hydrostatic pressure. Now volume of the liquid pushed into this tank will be simply A into x if area of this tank is A and here A and displacement is x. So suppose that due to this pressure some of the mass of the liquid is pushed to the tank, and suppose here the area is A and the displacement means due to that pressure the displacement takes place which is small x. So what will be the volume? Simply it will be A into x. We can also calculate what will be the mass of the liquid pushed in that tank. That will be simply rho A into x, volume into density. Now let's see what is the force on piston. We can also calculate what will be the force on the piston applied. That will be simply P into A, pressure into area. And if work done, we want to calculate the work done and displacing this from x distance, then definitely work done will be force into displacement. Means due to this hydrostatic pressure, it will apply a force on piston, and the process is very slow. So that's why there will be no kinetic energy, change in kinetic energy occur. So if process is slow, then there is a application of force on this piston which is attached to the tank, and suppose that due to that force x displacement is we obtained x displacement, then definitely to displace it the displace to piston from x value or simple to x value, there must be addition of work to it, or simply that pressure, that force will do some act in displacing it from to x. So what will be the work done? That will be simply force into displacement, and that will comes to PAX. So I think this is clear to you. So as you know that simple work is done by this hydrostatic pressure to move the piston by x displacement, then definitely that work will stored in the system, and that work is known as pressure energy because it is done by the pressure on the piston. So this energy is known as pressure energy. So definitely pressure energy will be simply PAX. Now we can calculate pressure energy per unit volume. So what will be, as you know that volume of this piston is here is AX. So pressure energy per unit volume will be simply P. Means it will equal to it will be equal to hydrostatic pressure. So simple, if we want to calculate pressure energy per unit volume, then it will be simply equal to the hydrostatic pressure. So this is the concept of pressure energy. Simply pressure is applied or simple if we take any liquid to any height, then definitely if there is depth in liquid, so there will be the application of hydrostatic pressure, and due to that hydrostatic pressure there will be if any piston is attached to it, then this pressure will impart some force on the piston, and due to that piston will be displaced, and due to that displacement definitely there will be some work done on the piston, and that work done is known as pressure energy, and we can calculate it easily. That will comes to be PA into X. And if we will calculate pressure and energy per unit volume, then it will comes to hydrostatic pressure. So this is simply the pressure energy, and I think now this concept is clear to you. Simply what is pressure energy and how can we calculate it, and what will be the value. Simple, if we know in very easy manner, we don't have to do anything. If we know hydrostatic pressure, then we have to multiply simple volume of here. If we know volume of piston or this tank, then definitely we can find out easily what will be the pressure energy. So in next class, let's see what will be potential energy and kinetic energy in this system, in this fluid system. So let's see that in next class. Thank you very much.